Williams Realty.
And my name is Louis Tipacti, and I'm with Pacific Integrated Capital, and I'm a loan officer and branch manager.
And we're here today to tell you about the 5 steps of getting started with your home purchase. Now, these are for whether or you're a brand new buyer or you haven't bought in a while, you want to know what's going on in today's market. So we're going to explain that to you, and this video is going to be step 1. So step 1 is choosing your lender and getting pre-approved. So as a lender, Louis, how do you feel like people should go about choosing their lender?
Oh, that's a great question. Usually a bank, like a big bank like Wells Fargo, Chase, usually have your checkings and savings accounts with them. They may be able to give you some pointers, but you want to start there as one of your starting points, as well as talking to one of the realtor referrals. Usually a realtor referral, for example, you, Lauren, you can give a a mortgage broker or a mortgage banker. And the difference between the two of them is that a mortgage broker will go ahead and shop the consumer's loan amongst banks that don't work with the public. They're called wholesale banks. And a mortgage banker is basically a mortgage lender who only banks mortgage loans. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I like working with Louis, and we work together often because unlike working with a large banks like Wells Fargo and so on, they work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, and real estate's kind of every day all the time. So I love working with Louis because not only is he a local lender and he understands the local market, but I can get a hold of him usually.
Saturdays and Sundays.
If
I don't answer, I'll respond to your text in an hour. Okay?
I try not to bug him. I know he has a wife and kids and I don't want to be a nuisance, but if needed, he's there, unlike a normal bank. Also, with a larger bank, you don't often get to speak to the same person all the time. And when you're working with somebody local, you always get that same person or their team and you know who you're dealing with. So that's important. I would say another part of choosing your lender, really finding someone that you are going to be able to have easy conversations with them. You want to know, like, and trust them. You want to know that they have your back. You want to know that they can guide you through the process because, especially as a first-time home buyer, there are a lot of things that go on during your escrow and as you make offers and get through everything. And so you want somebody who's going to be able to educate you and help you along the way.
Yeah, and what I was going to add is that it's super important to get somebody local, right? So like Lauren said, if you work with a person at a bank, chances are that you're going to be transferred and probably talking to like a processor or underwriter in Delaware. The big problem is that they don't do the same type of business that California does. So I highly, highly recommend that if you don't work with me or Lauren, make sure that you get somebody that's local, right? It's so key, especially in this market. For example, we're in the San Fernando Valley, and Lauren's well known. When you write an offer, Lauren's name is known, my name is known too, so it's really easy for us to get in good with the listing agent, make them feel comfortable, make the seller feel comfortable, and just keep it going in terms of a positive direction for you, the buyer.
Yeah. The other part of choosing your lender is getting started with the pre-approval process. And there's 3 key words that people are kind of used to: pre-approval, pre-qualification, and pre-underwriting. Can you explain all of those?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'll always start with a pre-qualification. And basically what a pre-qualification is that we're just going and doing a 20-minute rundown, usually over the phone, trying to just figure out what the client's payment eligibility is, an idea of credit and income. If we do a pre-approval, it's a little bit more formal. This is where I'll ask you for documents. I'll do an analysis, ask for 24 hours, and then I'll generate documents for you.
Right, that'll be that letter that we'll have to submit with your offers. It's a pre-approval letter. And in this day and age, we really can't write an offer without one.
Yeah, thanks, Lauren. Yeah, pre-approval letter is what I'll generate, and that's pretty much like key to be able to submit an offer and to make you look like a valid candidate in the market, right? And then the pre-underwriting is basically after the loan officer does a pre-approval, we can submit it over to an underwriter who basically pre-underwrites your file and reviews it just to make sure that not only have you been reviewed by the loan officer, you've been reviewed by a licensed underwriter to show that you're ready to go.
Yeah, and that can actually look a lot better for you as a buyer when we're writing your offers. So if you can go ahead and get these stages kind of moving before you're writing offers, you're actually going to have the ability to write a little bit of a stronger offer than had you not done that.
Yeah, one thing that we want to add is that, getting into a pre-underwriting situation, you definitely can shorten your escrow period time, right? Usually a typical escrow period is about 30 days. If you get pre-underwritten, we can probably get you closed in about 20 to 25 days.
Yeah, and that's helpful. Sellers want that. They want their money as soon as possible. So the more we can shorten things up, the better. Now, Louis, what do people need to turn into you to get the pre-approval and pre-underwriting stuff going?
Oh yeah, the documents. So pretty simple. If you work for a company and you're not self-employed, we're gonna need what they call a 222, and that's basically the last 2 years tax returns, the last 2 most recent paycheck stubs, and the last 2 months bank statements. We'll need some forms of ID, like 2 forms of ID, a social and a driver license, and then an authorization to pull your credit. Yeah.
And then as we go throughout the process, there's probably going to be more things that come up.
Sure.
And I just want to warn you buyers out there, there may be times where the lender, his underwriter, or other people on his team are asking you for documents you may have already provided or things that might seem obvious. Don't get annoyed with them. It's part of the process. They have to check things over and over again. Even checking that you're still working at the same job happens sometimes multiple times within an escrow.
Yeah, especially during these times, COVID and whatnot, they really want to make sure that you're still at your job. I try to break down the document collection into 3 batches. So we'll have the first batch, which would be the pre-approval intake. Then once you get your offer accepted, ask for the second batch. These are any kind of loose items, expired paycheck stubs, a new bank statement, or anything that we saw in the first initial review that we didn't think that was so important to get at that moment, but now we do. So we'll get that in the second batch. And once we have the second batch items, we'll submit for an approval from the underwriter or a final approval. And if there's any missing items, that'll be the third batch. But usually we try to break it down into just 2 batches.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It's a lot of info, guys. So that was step 1, choosing your lender, and at the very least, getting pre-approved before you write offers. Check out the next video to see step 2 in your buying process.